Good evening. My name is Jeannine Erickson. I use she, her pronouns, and today we're going to have a really amazing conversation about anti-racism, loving accountability, and third space culture. Now, to ground tonight's event, I really want to quote and echo the wise words of one of my favorite educators, Dr. Bettina Love, and she says, "To love all children, we must struggle together to build the schools we are taught to believe are impossible. Schools built on love, justice, joy, and anti-racism." And for context, today all the photos you'll be seeing are actual photos of my students, so please feel free to share some love for them in the comments. Again, Jeannine Erickson, she, her pronouns, and I currently serve as the Writers' Room Manager with the nonprofit 826 MSP. And my goals and hopes for today's conversation is really just to have a better understanding, or hopefully a strengthened understanding, about third space culture, what it is and what it isn't, and also the very important and crucial and integral role that loving accountability plays as well. So let's talk about space. So now you might be wondering, what does third space mean anyway? And I'm here to help, no worries. So if home is the first space or place and work or school is the second space or place, then third spaces by definition are anchors that transcends those two prior definitions. Now, again, if you're still kind of struggling, some third space examples could be Starbucks, the library, your car on your lunch break, maybe your friend's backyard. But for the purpose of today's conversation, I really want to focus on the definition from Wing Young Hui from the Third Place Gallery. And he says, if home is the first place and work is the second place, third places then, by definition, are anchors of community life that facilitate foster broader, more creative interactions. Now, I really want to echo the word anchor. Anchor meaning grounded, anchor meaning community-driven and centered. That's the really important distinction I want us to take away, is that we're not here to just be at a Starbucks. We're here to foster community with one another. Now, in the wise words of my colleague, Korsha Hassan, she talks about the fact that often victims or people that are made to be victimized by oppressive systems are given the brunt or the fault of these systems that we are targets of. So she wrote a letter to our nonprofit shortly after George Floyd is murdered, and I'm going to echo those words that you see on the screen, which are as follows. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless Black bodies were murdered by a racist police system. They didn't choose to die, they were murdered. And just similarly, that Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Trayvon Martin, and countless other Black bodies did not choose to be murdered by a racist police system. Neither did our at-risk youth. At-risk youth, similar to Black and brown bodies in a racist police system in a racist society, do not choose to be at risk. They are made to be at risk and are marginalized by a racist education system. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about 826 MSP and the work that we do in the Writers' Room, which is my third space that we'll be talking about today. So the Writers' Room, as many know it, is a place to answer whiteboard prompts, maybe get a snack if we're allowing it, depending on COVID at the time, and also just a chance to have intentional conversations, get one-on-one tutoring, support with our wonderful volunteers, and also a place to gather. So how do we build these intentional third spaces? I'd argue the three pillars of third space should be, if you want to build an intentional one, are intentionality, sustainability, and representative or responsive programming. So one of the ways we did that shortly after starting the 2020-2021 school year, which was our distance learning year, was to analyze what language should we be using to build community with one another. So here are some tools that I would suggest you could potentially use in your spaces. The equity statement you see on the screen is as follows. Here in the Writers' Room, we believe that all are welcome here, that Black lives matter, that no human is illegal, and believe women. Now, that language on paper may just seem like words, but words have power and intentionality. Now, it's not just words on paper that are going to help us foster broader community. It has to be action as well. So another part, an integral part about third spaces, especially intentional third spaces, is our author visit series. So one of the first things I did as Writers' Room Manager in my first year in the role was ensure that our author visit series, which is an in-school field trip where we bring in local authors and artists from the Twin Cities community and pay them for their time to talk about the behind the scenes of the publishing and editing process. But however, even though we were bringing in these amazing authors and artists, none of them were representative of our student body. For context, South is a 60% BIPOC identifying and a 40% non-BIPOC identifying breakdown. So one of the first things I did was ensure that we were not only paying artists for their time, but ensuring that all the author visits from that point forward were only featuring and paying and compensating BIPOC identifying artists. Another aspect of the Writers' Room and our very intentional third space is this commitment to wellness and a holistic approach. So it's very easy, especially in the nonprofit sector, to relationship build with students and our stakeholders for a very transactional purpose or the objectives or the needs of the organization. As Writers' Room Manager, I really wanted to ensure that we did not do that. So the Wellness Wednesday series was a series that we built in response and in preparation for the distance learning year last year, in an attempt to not only intentionally build relationships with students, but also approach learning and writing from a holistic and a wellness lens. Writing, as we all may know, is a very intimate and intensive practice. So it's very imperative for us to ensure that our students not only have the writing skills that they need to defend and advocate for their needs, but also the wellness to back it up as well. Now, why is it imperative that we have these third spaces? What is their function? What is the purpose that they serve? Well, as educators, as facilitators of community and people that hopefully want to build these classrooms again, and echoing Dr. Bettina Love's words, we are taught to believe are impossible. We have to be the change in the classroom, first and foremost. So one of the other ways that we were ensuring that we were making an intentional third space when I first started in the role was the creation of the Writers' Room Advisory Council, aka RAC, all hands on deck if you're one of my RAC members in the audience. But its function and really the intentionality behind creating this Youth Leadership Council was, if we're going to build a space that's for students, by students, informed by students, how can we argue we're doing that if students do not have any autonomy or a seat at the table? That's simply inaccurate and that's simply unfair. So not only do we ensure that students had autonomy and were in the driver's seat, we also ensure that just like our authors and artists and our other stakeholders, they are being compensated for their labor, their voice, and their truth, and modeling the leadership we wanted to see not only in the adults in the education sector, but also the youth as well. And now I could go on and on and on about what the Writers' Room means to me and why it's a valid space, but I'd rather leave that up to one of my former RAC members and colleagues and students, Chris Dominguez. Chris, take it away.
I'm Chris Dominguez, and I am a part of the 826 MSP program. I'm really connected with this, with the Writers' Room. That was really good. I felt really connected, and the environment was so pretty. The lights, and then the posters with inspirational quotes, and then pictures, and then all the colors. I really like the fact that the place was very safe, and Jeannine made that happen. Jeannine was working hard to facilitate everything, and then I was yes, go off. You did great. You're doing great. And I like how patient she is within facilitating author visits, because that's with the author visits, that was really good. I enjoyed almost every author visit that I've been in. I don't know, I feel doing it always brings me joy. So 826 MSP, that I really enjoyed being a part of the team. As I can say, Jeannine was a mentor to me, which is really I needed that. When I had to write my scholarship essays for college, or just college applications, she was there to help me. And I'm here, I'm in college, and I'm succeeding. College has been hard, but I'm succeeding. And it was just a really great experience.
Now, lastly, one of the last more amazing things about Third Spaces as a whole in the Writers' Room and some of the projects we've been able to cultivate as a space is our Young Authors Book Project. It is a professional publishing project in partnership with various classes and teachers where we work with publishers, illustrators, designers, and we publish a real book with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds by the end of their school year. The project you see featured in the presentation is our most recent project, The Words Unburden Me, and it was a group of 15-year-old English language learner students with Miss Lalagi's class. And although they faced many challenges, the pandemic, maybe not wanting to be in the classroom, we still made a beautiful book together, and these photos are from our celebration. And if you're interested in supporting our young writers and our students, please feel free to scan this QR code, and that's a way that will take you directly to our book page. Now, we talked a lot about third spaces, more explicitly intentional third spaces. So where does loving accountability fall into this line? Let's talk about it. So in the wise and amazing words of another amazing Black educator, Angela Davis, when children attend schools that place a greater value on discipline and security than on knowledge and intellectual development, they are attending prep schools for prison. And I want to reiterate that last line. They are attending prep schools for prison. So it hopefully does not fall on deaf ears that obviously the school-to-prison pipeline is a very real and harmful institution that impacts educators, our students, and more explicitly our Black and brown educators and students. And one of the vehicles or tools we can use to distance ourselves and more ideally disrupt and dismantle carceral approaches to discipline in the school system is accountability. And I want to articulate here, accountability doesn't happen just by chance. It has to be implemented. Accountability is not a one and done situation. It's not an adults versus students, and it's not a hierarchy. It's very much a commitment to, this is how I want to build community with you, and this is how I want to come together. And speaking of accountability, I want to tell you a brief story about one of my favorite students, Abdouassa. So Abdouassa is one of the first students I got to work with in the writer's room. He's actually also from the Young Authors Book Project I just mentioned, Words Unburden Me. When I first met Abdouassa in his class, we told him and his peers we would be making a book together, to which he responded, nah, I'm not doing that. Needless to say, it was a bit of a journey with Abdouassa, encouraging him to get into writing, which is fair, right? Writing is not for everyone. It's not everyone's favorite pastime, so that was perfectly valid. And I remember, although he was slow to warm up to this space, he eventually came to love the writer's room, and apart from YABP, even came for his own writing, essay, support, and help. And I remember one time I was working with Abdouassa on a one-on-one conference, and he was just giving me a really weird energy, and he was being very rude and disrespectful to me, and I had to pause, and I turned to him and I said, Abdouassa, I really want to help you with this writing conference, and I really want to be in community with you, but I can't do that if you continue to use these harmful words against me. And he took a pause, and he took into consideration, and he said, I'm sorry, miss. And it could have ended there. It could have ended back in 2019 in the writer's room, pre-pandemic, but it didn't. Instead, fast forward to now, where in this photo you see he's 17 years old now. He still loves the writer's room. He's still a very avid member of our community. And now he's modeling the expectations and the leadership I hope to see in this space. So just to say that accountability doesn't have to be what it's often framed as, which is cancel culture. It can be a call-in. It can be an invitation. And I just want to leave you here with these last two questions. What does loving accountability mean to you? And I also encourage you can either write about this because we are a writing org, or you could just reflect on it on your own time. But I want you to think about a time where you experienced a third space culture. Why was it important to you, and what did it mean to cultivating your own sense of identity or self or community? And I just want to, once again, thank you all so much for your time this evening. Thank you for my students if you're in the audience. Shout out to Chris Dominguez for his words earlier in the What the Writer's Room video means to you. And most importantly, thank you so much for all that we have learned as community and together. And if you're interested in learning more about third space culture, loving accountability, and more about the work we do at 826 MSP, please take a moment and use your QR code or your phone to access this document. And last but not least, I just want to give a sincere shout out to my students featured in the video, Chris Dominguez, Abdouassa, and also the students you see on these slides. I would not be the educator I am without their support and their guidance. And it's been such a privilege to work with all of you. Thank you.